Welcome to the Hammer Territory Podcast. My name is Shawn Coleman. Hope wherever you are and wherever you are listening, you're having a great evening, if you can call it that. We're coming to you from Tuesday evening. The Braves are making history tonight, and not in a good way. But as always, my podcast partner here with me is Stephen Tolbert. Stephen, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. But I'm going to be honest, and I know that I've said that this time and time again this year. It's just not fun to talk about the Braves tonight.
Yeah, what's up, Shawn? Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this team right now. You and I talked last week about, things were going well and is it time to get excited? And I remember saying I'm not going to get excited about this offense until they show me like 2-3 weeks of like sustained production, because we've just been fooled too many times where we see, a 4 or 5 game little run where the offense does well and you're like, all right, here we go. We're back. We're back to being a productive offense, and then it just disappears again. And, the exact same thing has happened. Um, had that nice run, 1-2, the last 2 against New York, one in Milwaukee, won that series, won the first 2 against Miami. You're like, all right, things are rolling. And then since then, Saturday, Sunday, and tonight's game have just been miserable. Braves scored 3 runs total in about 26 innings. They're on a 24-25 scoreless inning streak at the moment. They got shut out on Sunday. They're being shut out tonight. Last 2 home games have been outscored 17-0. It's just bad. I mean, it's just all bad. Like, there's not. Typically, we can find some silver lining for you stuff. I mean, I guess it's still August, and the Braves still have a chance to do everything they want to accomplish. But like in terms of vibes and just how they're playing, it's all bad right now.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of perspective, what where the Braves are in terms of their game on Sunday against the Marlins and their game tonight against the Brewers. I'll be honest, we're recording this, as the game is wrapping up. Braves down 10-0. If the Braves were to lose this game, it'll be the first time that they have been shut out in consecutive games since April 25th of 2021, which was a doubleheader when we had the 7-inning doubleheaders. They were shut out both games in that doubleheader. Even more eye-opening, this will be the first time in nearly a decade, since September 1st and 2nd of 2014, that the Braves have been shut out in consecutive games on different days. You don't see this team this bad offensively. And we'll talk about Bryce Elder in just a second, Steven. But the thing that I'll ask you is this. When we're hitting homers, the Braves, we just saw it last week. The Braves can still consistently, win. They are among the best teams in the National League against teams above 500. But to me, the biggest thing that stands out is that this team is so frequently ice cold, especially against teams that just aren't that good. I could point out, the spike in K rate this year compared to the last few years, but I can't really put an answer on it, Stephen, and I'm not expecting you to, but just what stands out about this offense as a whole is we know that they're streaky, but it's the frequency of which they just get absolutely ice cold, just absolutely non-existent. It's maddening at times.
Yeah, I mean, on an individual level, it seems like every guy on the team, their hot streaks are measured in days and their cold streaks are measured in weeks. We've seen Matt Olson go through these kind of, 6-7 day hot streaks, and then he's cold for a month. And then, Jared Kelenic has been cold for a month. And then even like tonight, I was looking up tonight, like Marcell Ozuna has been cold. He's got like a 75 WRC plus over his last 10 games or something like that. It's just, it's never consistent, and it's never consistent for any notable length of time. The only thing that's consistent are the cold streaks. Like the hot streaks have just been way too short, and the duration of them has been way too short. And if this team doesn't hit, I mean, we're going to talk about the pitching stuff, and I do have some a mini rant about the rotation setup. But like, if they're not going to hit, it doesn't matter. Like if Bryce Elder had given up 3 runs tonight, they still would have lost because they didn't score any runs. And and in some ways, like, this is the team. Like, there's nobody else coming. Trade deadline's passed. There's no like top prospects to bring up and help. This is the group. And in some ways, it's pretty simple. Like, if they don't hit, they're not going to win. Like, with the pitching, you can talk about how they set up the rotation and who pitches when, and we're going to talk about that stuff in a second. But like on the offensive side of the ball, these are your best players. Like in the lineup, there's not like better players sitting on the bench. Like this is it. This is your group, and if they're not going to hit, then nothing else really matters. Like you're just not going to win. So until they get to the point where they can consistently score runs, then nothing else really matters, to be honest.
Obviously, the Braves need to find that consistency, the consistency that defined last year. And it's just, it seems like too much often this year we're playing like we have in the last couple years worth of playoffs. But while consistency is certainly something that the Braves offense desperately needs, one source of consistency that I feel can make your day better is going to a top source when it comes to your nightly meals, and that is HelloFresh.
Big shout out to America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh, for helping us eat good during this busy time of the year for us. With HelloFresh, you get pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. It's home cooking made easy, fun, and affordable.
HelloFresh makes it easy, even for picky eaters like Scott. There's a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week. Customize it to fit your taste. There's protein and veggie swap options too. The recipes are easy to follow. Just choose your delivery day, open your box, cook, and eat.
My house is busy with sports, but family dinners are important. My fam eats better, healthier, and we cook so much easier with HelloFresh.
And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/FTKids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FTKids.
So, Stephen, we'll jump back to the offense in just a second. But the other thing that certainly stood out is that, the one thing that also, has been, a big, chore at times for the offense this year is getting going early. And it certainly becomes an even bigger hill to climb when they get behind big early. And unfortunately, that occurred down 3 runs in the first inning against the Brewers earlier tonight. Of course, Bryce Elder on the mound. And the thing is that Bryce Elder against weak teams, I feel like you could still throw him out there. I feel at the very least against teams that just are not that good, Bryce Elder can still put you in a position to win. But putting him against I know the Braves really didn't have many options, but putting him for the second straight start against a lineup on a winning team, it just is not a recipe for success. I know that the Braves are trying to keep their best arms healthy, but with where they are in terms of the wild card race and the playoff picture in the National League, they may not have that luxury anymore. And that's especially the case when it comes to Bryce Elder, who just simply does not have it right now in terms of being a reliable major league pitcher.
Oh no, they had a choice. Like Chris Sale could have pitched tonight, and Charlie Morton tomorrow, and Swellen back on Thursday. That's how it was originally set up. With Max coming back on Sunday and an off day yesterday, they could have gone Sale, Morton, Schwellenbach, and then either gone Max on Friday or Grant Holmes on Friday, and then Max on Saturday, and then you're back to a normal rotation. Like they had options. They just chose to push guys back again and give them extra rest. And listen, I was completely fine with that strategy when you had a 4.5 game lead in the wild card, and you pretty much had a playoff spot on lock. I was fine with that because getting your pitchers healthy to October is more important than, where you're seated in October, in my opinion. But now they don't have that in all of their cushion is gone. Like they don't have after their loss tonight, I haven't looked at it, but they're very close to being either the 3rd wild card team or right outside the wild card. Like there is no more 4.5 game cushion. Like at some point, you're going to have to just pitch your best guys every 5th day. And I get like they want to give them as much rest as possible to be healthy for October, but being healthy for October doesn't matter if you're sitting on the couch in October. Like it doesn't matter how healthy Chris Sale's arm is if he's in Cancun on October 1st. Like you got to make the playoffs. That's, and that cushion is gone. At one point, the Braves were like a 95% chance to make the playoffs. They've lost like 30 points on that in the last 2 weeks. And again, they're in a dogfight for a playoff spot now. I've talked about it on the last show. Like the National League teams behind them have really gotten hot. Like the Padres are hot, the Diamondbacks are hot, the Mets have been playing better. Like they're going to be out of a playoff spot soon. I mean, if they keep playing like this, they're going to be, games back of a playoff spot, which is unthinkable, at the beginning of the year that they would ever spend even one day of this season out of a playoff spot. But they're staring that dead in the face. And at some point, you got to pitch your best guys. And if they get hurt, they get hurt. Like it's just a snake bit year. But don't save them for October and then miss the playoffs in an effort to do that. That's just, I don't understand that. Like the Braves have played 18 games in the second half, and Chris Sale has made 2 starts. Like that's an insane amount of rest. Like at some point, you just got to play. You just got to pitch your best guys, and whatever happens, happens.
And Stephen, we talk about that button to push for the pitching staff. Simply, the Braves now have no choice but to pitch their best arms consistently in order to win at the level that they need to. For the offense, is there something that you can easily spot that will help them press the button? Or does it just simply come down to this Braves team needs to hit? We know that they've got all the talent in the world to be one of the best, if not the best offenses in baseball. It simply seems we can name off a bunch of things, but they just simply need to hit the baseball at the level that they're capable of.
I mean, they just need their guys to. I mean, they need their guys to hit better. Like that's all. That's literally the only answer. Like, yes, their results have not matched their inputs. Like the outputs have been down from what the inputs say they should, and they should. They're having XWOBA underperformance, and all the numbers should look better. I get all that, and I've looked up those numbers, and that's 100% true. Like the Braves have had an XOBA underperformance this year. Their inputs are better than their outputs, but at some point, like it's just results are the only thing that matters. Like when you can lean on that stuff when it's April and May and June, but we're in August. I mean, it's just time for results. It's just time for better results, and until I wrote a piece for Battery Power yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, but like they've had the worst outfield in baseball since the day Ronald Acuna went down. Like the worst, the lowest offensive output, the worst WAR, dead last in baseball, behind the White Sox, behind the A's, behind the Rockies, behind the Nationals, the Marlins, everybody. The worst outfield in baseball. Like that just can't happen. I get that Ronald's out and Michael Harris is out, but like Jared Kelenic should be a major league caliber player. Like Adam Duvall is a major league caliber player. Like these guys should at least be able to give you average production. I'm not talking about all-star production, but these guys should at least be able to give you average production. And they've been, I mean, atrocious. Eddie Rosario has been atrocious. Like they have to hit. I mean, they just need better results. And like I said, this is the team on offense, at least. Like there's no, like Michael Harris is coming back. That should help. I put should in quotations because Michael was having the worst offensive year of his career before he got hurt. So like we're going to need him to actually step up and perform to his talent level. Ozzy Albies is coming back, but same thing. Like Ozzy was having one of the worst years of his career before he got hurt. And he's not going to come back till, September. So like they just need their guys to hit better. I mean, that's just, yes, the results have not been there relative to the inputs, but at some point you just need better results. And it starts with the top 4 guys: Soler, Riley, Ozuna, Olsen. And, outside of that, they need the outfield to step up and not be the worst unit in baseball, which is what they've been for about 3 months now.
Shifting to a bit more positive news, as you discussed, obviously over the past few days, the Braves have gotten some injury updates when it comes to some of their biggest contributors. Ronaldo Lopez was placed on the injured list. Of course, he will be out until August 18th. However, the reports suggest that he is fine. Braves are giving him the ample time that he needs to fully recover to where hopefully there won't be any issue moving forward. And of course, Michael Harris started his rehab assignment tonight, Tuesday, August the 6th. He is eligible to come back in 8 days, and Brian Snitker suggested he feels he will come back at that time. So the good thing is, Stephen, is that the Braves are going to get these reinforcements. And one thing that I think comes with those reinforcements, once we get Lopez back, once we get Michael Harris the second back, is that you're going to get a bit of a standard. You're going to get a bit more of a routine when it comes to how the outfield's going to look. Soler in right, Michael Harris the second in center, Kelenic against righties in the outfield, and then Duvall against lefties. And then when you get Ronaldo Lopez back, you should pretty consistently get Morton, Fried, Sale, Lopez, as well as Schwellenbach. So I think that once we get these guys back, that will give us a bit more of a routine to rely upon. And I don't think that's an understated value in terms of, hey, you're getting talented guys back, but also other members of the team will know where they set and they'll be able to get into the routine and hopefully produce better results.
Yeah, I mean, it'll help to get the rotation back. I would hope at some point the Braves are actually going to pitch their best guys every fifth day. I don't know that. I mean, they haven't shown any evidence of that to this point. If anything, they're going the other direction. But yeah, I mean, getting everybody back and healthy will help. But again, they got to score. And Michael Harris will help. You know, he's going to take the place of somebody who's been miserable this year, whether it's Rosario or Laureano or Duvall or whoever it is. And so he'll help. But it's going to come down to their best offensive players have to be great. And we talked about this when they got Soler. Like Soler, O'Reilly, Ozuna, and Olsen have to be great. And they haven't been great lately. They haven't been terrible, but they've been very average. And this team can't afford those guys to be average because they don't have enough talent on the back end to make up for it. Like they need their big four guys to be awesome. And until that happens consistently, you and I are going to do this show every 10 days or something, every 7 days, between hot and cold streaks, where we're talking about this team just not being consistent. And for me, that's where it starts. It starts with the top four guys in the lineup. When those four guys get going all at the same time, you'll see a consistent lineup. But if that doesn't happen, then this is going to be the story all year. And they're going to be in a dogfight for a playoff spot all year.
Well, not to put to the side the struggles of this year so far, with the hope that things get better in 2024. A bit of fun news, though not necessarily confirmed by Major League Baseball, but a bit of fun news did start to become evident for next year, and that is the fact that there are early reports that the Braves and the Reds will be playing a baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee at some point in 2025. Now, the last, really big non-NASCAR event that happened at Bristol Motor Speedway was, of course, the Tennessee Vols versus the Virginia Tech Hokies in 2016. 155 plus thousand people were at that game. But Stephen, it's that being, where it's going to be, I would imagine that there's probably going to be a good chance for some offense with the Braves players, Ella De La Cruz, and then the Cincinnati's emerging lineup. Those are going to be two fun teams to put in that stadium. But can you truly wrap your head around 150 plus thousand? I imagine they can do it for football. They'll be able to do it for baseball. But 150 plus thousand watching a baseball game, I know it may be considered a novelty, but that's really going to be a fun experience once they put it all together for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are a section of fans that really get into this stuff about cool new venues to play baseball in, playing baseball on a racetrack or stuff like that. Personally for me, it doesn't do much for me. It'll be cool to see. I'm probably not the target audience for this because I don't really care where the game's played. Now it was cool when they did like the Rickwood Field game and the Field of Dreams game. Like I did enjoy that stuff, but playing a baseball game on a racetrack, I'm not gonna lie to you, it sounds kind of wonky to me. But it is a way to grow the game, and baseball is not exactly great at that. So it'll be a novelty event. It'll be something that gets headlines, which is another thing baseball isn't great at. So, and like you said, they'll probably set an attendance record just because Bristol holds 150,000 people, and the average baseball game probably seats 30 to 40,000. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm certainly not the target audience for this kind of stuff. It seems a bit gimmicky to me. But yeah, it'll be a headline grabber, and I'm sure that's what baseball was going for.
I can certainly understand the perspective of it. Once again, as kind of baseball, giving the fans something that they, really never asked for, a bunch of in front of a bunch of other stuff that we have been asking for years. So I certainly understand your perspective. It'll be fun to see that many fans in the stadium, but I certainly get that. For some it will be fun. For some, it's like, okay, it's baseball, regardless of where you play. But of course, when it comes to the immediate future, while it's obvious the Braves likely should have positioned their pitching staff better in this series against the Brewers, at the very least, we do have the opportunity to bounce back with Chris Sale versus Freddie Peralta, another matchup between those two from last week in which the Braves and Sale won. And then on Thursday, it'll be Charlie Morton against Frankie Montas, one of the big Brewers deadline acquisitions. The simple truth is this: we still have an opportunity to win this series. We absolutely do. We need for Sale and for Charlie Morton to pitch well. We need them to pitch great, put us in position to win. But at the end of the day, the Braves have got to recapture their ability to be able to either hit the ball out of the ballpark or get runs early or deliver a few times with runners in scoring position. There are several different ways where if the Braves could just do one of those things, they can get going and get going well with some solid pitching to support them on the mound. But again, it comes down to the Braves being able to score runs. I'm excited to have Sale and Morton on the mound, but the Braves have got to be able to support them. It'll be great to see if they can come out and get some runs early tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you don't score, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, Sale on the mound is your best chance to win. The Sale games become even more important when he's only pitching once a week, which is basically what they've kind of resigned him to. So they become even more important because you don't know how long it's going to be until you see him again. So yeah, I mean, he needs to, they need him to go out and probably pitch 7 innings of 1-run ball, 1 or 2-run ball at the most, until this offense wakes up. I'm not really confident that they can cover more than 1 or 2 runs right now. I'm not confident they could cover any runs at the moment, but you would think they have at least a chance to cover 1 or 2. So yeah, that's what they need tomorrow. They need Sale to break this losing streak to get the team back on, on a winning streak of some sort. But again, unless the offense wakes up, I mean, you just can't expect your pitchers to go out and throw 1-run, 2-run baseball for 9 innings every night. Like, your offense has got to be able to cover some stuff up. And just all year long, I mean, we've been talking about this all year long. They just have consistently been unable to cover up anything of any significance outside of a couple of hot stretches here and there. They just, if the other team scores more than 3 runs, I mean, they lose the game. And that's been the frustrating part. And until they hit and until they score runs consistently, this is kind of going to be what we get. We're going to get a very inconsistent, a very up and down team because you're basically just, living and dying off how great your pitching is. And if it's great, then you win. And if it's anything less than great, you lose. And that's a tough way to go through life. So yeah, it's going to be about the offense. If they wake up, then they got a chance. If Sale pitches well, they got a chance. But if it stays like this, then I hope for Chris's sake he goes out and throws a no-hitter tomorrow, because that might be what it takes to win the game.
Yeah, as fun as the recurring themes were last year, talking about, from June on, it seemed like nearly every other game the Braves were doing something historic offensively. It as much fun as that was, it's just as frustrating this year with ever since the end of April, it being the recurring theme of just how maddening the inconsistency of this offense is. But hey, you go with the ups, you go with the downs. At the end of the day, you just got to work yourself through it. I wish that, and I know that, me and Steven have said multiple things, multiple times, the same thing multiple times throughout this podcast, but it simply comes down to the Braves have to hit the ball. They have to score runs, and they also have to put their best players in the position to help them win consistently when it comes to who's on the mound. The Braves have no choice but to do that now, and hopefully better results will start tomorrow with Chris Sale on the mound. Steven, do you have anything else for us as we wrap up this edition of the Hammer Territory podcast?
No, I do want to give a quick shout out to the fans. Last week with the trade deadline and all the stuff we did, last week was our biggest week for the show. So we are obviously very appreciative of that. Obviously the team was playing well, so that helps. But yeah, very appreciative of the fans, and yeah, of course the Foul Territory guys. But yeah, we had a really good week, and it's a thanks to you guys. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for Stephen Tolbert, my name's Shawn Coleman. We are certainly hoping better conversation and better times are ahead. I know that we've said that multiple times this year. And hey, we've had it happen before. Now is the time. We have no choice. Now is the time for better times to be ahead for this Braves team. And of course, we will have you covered. And thankfully, with all the support from the fans and listeners, you can find Hammer Territory, part of the Foul Territory family of podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Just hit that subscribe button and you'll get it wherever you subscribe. Until next time, go Braves. We'll talk to you again soon here on the Hammer Territory Podcast.